Jay Weidner, and you're listening to the Smoke and Mirrors Radio Hour. We're talking to Timothy Beckley. Hey, Timothy, remember that movie? You remember another movie with Nancy Reagan where God spoke to the people of the earth through the radio? The next voice you hear? Well, Timothy's gone.
I'm here.
All
you
right.
there?
Oh, you're here. I'm here. Did you hear? Did you get my question?
Yeah, I did. Is that an old Twilight Zone? I think it's...
No, there was a movie.
Yeah.
There was a movie that I only saw it once. Came out in the 50s. It starred Nancy Davis. And it was one of the creepiest films I've ever seen. And it was a very Christian film. And it was about how God spoke through the radio. And told Earth that they better straighten up or he was going to destroy us.
I don't remember that one now.
Yeah, it's a strange.
Hey, Jay, though, let me finish my synchronicity story here, okay?
Please.
Okay, so I'm on the Long John show, and I'm talking about these UFO experiences that people have had in New York and so forth and so on. So the next day, I get a phone call at my office. There's a gal who does a column for New York Magazine. It's called Best Bets. It's on the last page, and basically it's a list of what's happening in New York. I don't know how to explain a list, like a top 10 things to do. Or anyway, she heard this and she wanted to list the top best 10 UFO sightings in New York. So I gave her the phone numbers of a few people to call, or names that I remembered, about people that had experiences. And then, at the end of the conversation, I guess maybe we talked for about half an hour or so. I say, Terry, her name was Terry Clifford, and I said, Terry, let me send you some more material, a little bit about my bio and so forth and so on. And I said, well, where should I send it? And she said, well, send it to apartment blah, 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 6R 11 East 96th Street in Manhattan. I said, what address? 11 East 96th Street. It's not the right address, but 11 East 96th Street, New York, New York. I said, well, are you in the same building I am? It turned out she lived 2 floors above me. But that's not quite the end of the story. Now, Terry and I can't say we became the best of friends, but we'd meet. It was a very small building. I mean, we're talking about 6 apartments or 8 apartments in the building, right? So we'd see each other in the hallway or in the elevator, and we always had a laugh, for years. Hey, there you are in the same building, synchronicity, coincidence, blah, blah, blah. And she was into, metaphysical subjects. In fact, she wrote the first book on the Dalai Lama. She traveled with the Dalai Lama throughout India, wherever, during one of the summers in the mid or late 1960s, right? In fact, her book was published by Samuel Weiser. Samuel Weiser being probably the first or the granddaddy of all the New Age publishers. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, we met every once in a while on the elevator, a little rickety elevator riding down. I'd meet her, get on the 4th floor, and she'd be on the 6th. We'd go down, And she passed away a few years after I had met her. She had a brain tumor, And of course, I told this story quite a few times, So last year, I'm in a rather, let's put it, let's tell it like it is, a rather sleazy bar in Greenwich Village, Manhattan. And I'm sitting there having a drink with a lady friend of mine at the end of the bar, and just kibitzing and getting a little bit more inebriated as the night goes on. But I'm over 21, so that's legal. And there's a fellow now. This is like I say, Greenwich Village, so it's usually a very casual place. People wear jeans, and it's a college crowd because it's near NYU, New York University. Well, there's a fellow standing next to us who's a little bit older than the rest of the crowd. It doesn't quite seem to fit in, but there he is, and he seems to be having a good time, and he offers to buy me and my friend a drink. So I said, "Oh, it looks like you're doing a little bit of celebrating. What are you celebrating?" And he said, "Oh, I just got he named a very hefty advance from a major publisher." And I said, "Well, geez, that's great. I'm a publisher myself, but my advances are far lower than the $200,000 or whatever he had gotten. So I asked him, what was the subject, and it was kind of like a self-help book. In fact, I remember his name was Phil. I thought of Dr. Phil from from TV. It wasn't him, but it was the same kind of self-help material. So I got to talking and so forth and so on, and telling him, well, this is kind of like what I published too. And somehow we got to talking about this incident with this gal that lived on the 2 floors above me. Well, he just turned ashen white. He said, that lady, Terry, was the love of my life. I was with her on that trip that she made with the Dalai Lama, and if you turn to the acknowledgments in her book, you'll find that I mentioned there. Wow. And I said, well, geez, I think maybe if there is such a thing as communication from the other side, maybe she's saying hello to you, because I don't think it's a message for me, but there certainly is some relevance in my bringing up this, in this topic. And I said, well, what are you doing? Are you going to write anything more about this? And he said, well, no, but I'm on my way to England to deliver a talk. It sounded like a meeting or conference for a psychiatrist, right, or psychologist or whatever. And I said, well, do me a favor. They could be kind of a skeptical light. Would you tell that the story that I just told you to at least 3 of them, and see if it has any impact, on their careers or on their life or anything like that? So I don't know. I just went away thinking, well, that it must have been a message for him. It was kind of like I was transmitting this to tell him that she was still thinking of him, and thanks for mentioning her in his book.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my new movie, Infinity, is about life after death, and we interviewed quite a few people, and I tell you that, I don't know, certainly there's something there. There's certainly something there. There's no doubt. There's too many similar stories, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So yeah, it's strange. Synchronicities are strange. We live in a world where conspiracies are frequently called coincidences. And I think it was William Irwin Thompson once said that he thought conspiracy theorists were beginning Buddhists because they could see the underlying connection between everything. And I really wonder if possibly there is some connection between all of this, like some kind of matrix of reality that binds everything together, but we can't really see the connections. They're like invisible.
Well, and, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, there is a continuity to a life, I think, but in what sense? And Charles Fort, who of course was one of the big collectors of oddities, falls to strange objects in the sky, and disappearances, the Bermuda Triangle, and so forth, and so on. And he always felt that we were kind of like a giant chess game, and there were people that were manipulating the chess pieces for good or for bad. And I guess that's kind of what I figured too. But I don't know. Yeah. And this is kind of like John Keel's thinking on the subject as well. Do they have the same thinking patterns as we do? We think of aliens and coming here from other planets, and we assume that they must think exactly. Well, why don't they make open contact? Why don't they land on the White House lawn? Well, maybe they're not even thinking of that.